So we're gonna take a small break from the sort of comic book superhero universe. We do have to
Good.
sort of dive back into that as well. But what we're going to be talking about now is similar-ish anyway, and it's about Disney's decline because a report was released from Deadline, which revealed the biggest box office bombs of 2022, and they're really bad. And 3 of them belong to Disney, and they equate to how much have they lost, Culture?
Over $250 million.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy.
When you look at the first film they present, this is staggering.
Even the dog was disabled in this.
Yeah.
How did it lose money? Even the dog was disabled.
Because this was one of the wokest movies ever made, right? Like,
even the dog was disabled.
This is the movie equivalent of Velma, right?
Yeah.
Like that was a movie, or that was a show where even the woke folk are like, okay, now you've gone too far. This was a movie where even the woke folk are like, yeah, now you've gone too far. It was so bad that Disney took all the money they were spending on P&A for this and shoved it into, what was it, Doctor Strange at that time?
No.
Black Panther.
Black Panther 2, yeah. Woke forever. Yeah.
And I don't even see how they made money on that thing. And I don't think
there's an argument to be made there.
Because they paid themselves for it. That's why.
Revised production budgets are coming out.
Well, and the other thing is, anyway, go ahead.
Well, as you said, the thing is that they lost $197.4 million on this one movie alone.
What?
So you say the $250 million. It's actually more than that.
Oh yeah, it's over $250 million. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
know,
I'm
sure Lightyear's on
100. Oh yes, $197.4 million on this absolute travesty. Right, absolutely terrible film. Amsterdam. Whoever thought? I mean, this $108.4 million loss straight away. So that's $300 million. Boom, instantly gone.
I still think this was an acquired property, but I could be wrong.
How do you mean? What, they bought it?
I don't think they were the ones who originally greenlit it.
No, it's New Regency financed film. Had to shift its planned production from Boston to LA due to COVID. Despite a
distribution deal with Disney, it said,
yeah, but still, I mean, they're the ones that bloody, I mean, they obviously thought there was something in it. Yeah, terrible. And so, and this one, whoever thought this was going to do particularly well anyway? Why would you spend so much money on this film? Why would you spend so much money on this film? Why? What are you doing? Like $171 million they spent on this film.
Yeah.
It's just madness.
Well, what's sad is it said it was actually shot during COVID. I would have given it the excuse because, like, there's been a few movies that are coming out where, like, people have said to me they look like crap, or like, what's with all these crappy movies? It's like, well, I've had to tell people a lot of this shit is probably stuff that was sitting on shelves.
Yep.
And never got released before COVID. Yeah. And because that's where people kept asking, well, why don't they release Ghostbusters? Why don't they release Top Gun? It's like, well, if they release that shit now in the midst of COVID, they ain't gonna have nothing to release after COVID when the theaters are open again, as we saw. And of course, for Top Gun, that worked out massively well. Yeah. And here we are. I think we've reached that kind of spot where there's a lot of, they're trying to fill in gaps and some of this stuff. But this movie doesn't have the excuse because they even say they were filming in the midst of COVID. So yeah, can't give that movie that excuse.
No. And just like, why would you spend so much money on it as well? I mean, the budget shot up from $50 to $80 million.
Yep.
God, you're spending money on Margot Robbie, Christian Bale, John David Washington, Taylor Swift, Chris Rock, Anya Taylor-Joy, Rami Malek. I mean, that's like, Bale got paid under his normal rate of $5 million. Basically, loads of people were like, we'll just take a lower paycheck for this as well. So it's not even made up of their paychecks because they wanted to be in it. Just, you wouldn't spend that much money. It's just ridiculous.
Well, what I love,
and then Lightyear, fucking hell.
Well, this is all Disney. This is all their money.
This is all Disney. And what is shocking about this is the total expenses.
Yeah.
$373 million. That ain't even all of it.
Nope.
I was going to say, I argue they lost more on Lightyear than that.
I think they did lose more on it. Yeah.
300. Where did it go? $373 $200 million production costs. Prints and ads, 110. What are you doing?
Like, I'm almost wondering if Disney's doing all this for like legalized money laundering or something.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Well, it's a source deadline estimates, so
yeah. But look, it's not wrong. It's very close. It might be slightly higher, as I suspect it is.
Yeah, they're on conservative side. So
yes.
There's the rule of thumb of 50% of production budget for marketing, but then there's also, there's the other side of it is where some people just go, well, you double it. You double the production budget as a general rule of thumb. Yeah. So there's two general rules of thumb. There's the 50% as a conservative estimate. You're guaranteed to always be right if you do the 50% estimate. Or you look at actual where the material was, what you saw, and then you can do the double production budget.
Yeah, and
equal to production.
And I always fall in the middle. I always go 1.8%. Instead of doubling it, I just multiply it times 1.8.
Yeah.
1.8 times, and that way I'm safe because I'm falling within the margins, and it's more often than not twice as much. So just like you said, Nate. And so when you look at this, the studio lost $106 million. What I'm enjoying is the cash on cash return that they've been adding at the bottom. I'm like, for every dollar spent, they got 72 cents back.
Fuck. I mean, this is terrible. Terrible. Real bad. But then also, how did it earn $95 million from streaming?
Because
there's one culture. Why don't you explain how this works?
Okay, so Disney always pays themselves.
Yes.
When they get a product onto their streaming service, they pay for it, right? They pay for it what the market value of it would be if they were to say release it to Netflix, right? Or whoever, like one of the streaming services wants your film, you negotiate a price with them. They're saying that their reasonable market value for the film would have been $95 million on television streaming. So they theoretically paid themselves $95 million, except they didn't pay themselves jack shit. So
you could argue Disney paid Pixar for it or something like that. It's completely legal, I guess.
It's legal,
it's
but
one of those funny business practices. But yes, it's basically like
it's a
just
lie.
Because you take $10 from your right pocket and put it into your left pocket, you don't have $20 now. You just have $10.
Yeah, you didn't make money. And so, but this is creative accounting. And again, it's one of the ways, then one of the reasons why they break everything up the way they do. And it's also why productions have their own individual LLCs or LLPs so that they can isolate the funds. And if you ever want to know complete transparency, the best country in the world for it is the UK. Because if something is made
Company's House.
Yeah,
Company's House is brilliant, guys. You go on Company's House, you can see any registered company, not sole traders, but any registered company. You can see everything that they do, and they have to file it. You see everything.
Every dollar.
So can you see all the stuff going on over there right now with the Acolyte and all that?
It's out there. Yeah.
Oh,
you can see it, Nick.
Company's House.
I'm gonna throw a question out there on that home entertainment number too. I'd like to know where they get 60 million.
Maybe selling it to like YouTube and stuff.
Well, maybe because I'm looking at the actual numbers here for the DVD sales and Blu-ray sales are only $3 million. So that's got to be completely video on demand, as we say, because
but way. I don't believe any of that. I don't believe any of those numbers are real.
Yeah, I think those are some very fudged. Well, not fudged. I won't say that. They're very estimated numbers. I'll say, and they're
And the next question is, because they are hiding these monies all over the place, could they have used like one of their other like co-streaming services like Hotstar to like artificially?
That's true. I didn't even think about internationally how this. Yeah, they probably added in some shit there too.
Yeah. Oh, this is terrible. This was
a good movie.
A lot of people say that, but it didn't do well.
Yeah, I watched it. I thought it was good.
Well, this is another example. Well, this is another example of them pushing Jonathan Majors to the forefront and his PR firm and his management being, this is the next big star. Watch this guy. He's in everything. Boom, boom, boom. Essentially, most movies been in have lost money now. I think Creed 3 hasn't lost money. But everything else has lost money.
Barely. I mean, that thing fell off a cliff as soon as the news about him got out.
Yeah.
That, and I think the other thing that didn't help as soon as people realized that Sylvester Stallone wasn't in the movie either, because it had a strong opening and it fell off a fucking cliff. Like nobody.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And then just lastly, because I think it's funny, is Babylon for Paramount. Now this was essentially
I watched
Hollywood.
the first 10 or 5 minutes of that thing and I shut it off.
Well,
Wow,
it's just
that bad?
essentially it was Hollywood circle jerking.
It
you know?
is.
Like
Yeah.
it's just it's an exercise in narcissism for Hollywood.
How is Disney involved in this?
They weren't. They're involved in the 3 that we.
These are
first
just the
spoke
biggest
about.
flops of the year. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
In general.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah, but you know, I don't want this just to be Disney focused. I want to talk about all of the flops in general. So you know, the first 3 are Disney, and then we move to this one, which is a Sony movie, Black Label Media Sony, and then the last one is a Paramount film, which lost surprisingly not as much as I thought it would have lost. $87.4 million.
Did he get a little boost maybe from the Oscars and stuff? Probably.
Yeah. Well, total expenses were light. I mean, $162.4 million. So not that much. Not that much at all. But this is what we say about the example of production budgets and marketing.
Yeah, a lot
so
cheaper
production
than I thought
budgets,
it was.
you know, 80 million and then 60 million.
Because they shot it on
marketing.
film, I believe, too, on top of it all.
They must have known this was going to be soft.
Mm. Yeah.
And again, they're adding in that mysterious television streaming number there.
Yeah.
But look,
that's a Paramount
$35
Plus
million.
one. Yeah.
Creed 3 you could argue Creed 3 made some money. You could argue
Barely.
Yeah. Yeah. They paid $75 million to make it. It spent about 5 weeks in the theaters.
Yeah, but how much? We don't even get to see. I'm wondering, they're not even factoring in that. See, there's missing in those charts the back end deals for some.
That's
of these
right.
guys,
Well,
too.
ancillary cost and
if they get first dollar gross. Or
yeah,
whatnot,
exactly. Yeah, and the other, what's the other fun one? Oh gosh, it's not distribution, but it's another cost that's factored into a lot of the accounting here, but we don't get to see that. But anyway, regardless, it's fun to consider that Disney lost.
Three of the biggest flops of last year, and it's going to be the same this year.
Yeah. And well, can you imagine? Okay, so when I have a video coming out about, well, I did a video about this today, about Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Oh, it's not looking good. On the second channel is doing really well on that.
Yeah.
Not looking good, guys. Not looking good. So anyway, I thought that'd be a funny little deep dive, just as a bit of a break from the other topics. Let's